Welcome to the Chit Chat Show, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have the pleasure to sit down with Matt Pryor. He's a father.
There's a new motivation as a dad to be a better person, to do well in life for her. She's 10 months tomorrow. It's an absolute pleasure to be a dad, especially seeing how she's thriving as well, you know.
He's a husband.
I'm from Hertfordshire in England. That's where I met my wife. Some really great people, really cool communities there.
And a formidable strength and conditioning coach.
But before the light, there was darkness.
I was very rebellious. My dad was a disciplinarian. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 13. Going through uni, you know, I got lazy, and that's when drinking really started. In that time, it was very unhappy for me. And relationships I got myself into, they would be toxic, based around drinking, egging each other on to get more drunk. That started really when I was about 16. My dad's an emotionally abusive person, to everyone. My go-to was alcoholism, I guess. It gave me a false sense of confidence and happiness, and, you know, I could let loose and forget my troubles and all that stuff.
What would you say led to this alcohol problem? Thanks for coming, Matt.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. There will be a lot of valuable information shared in this interview, so we encourage you to watch till the end. First of all, I must say, during my research, I was heavily touched by your 5-year sobriety story, which you posted the other day on Instagram.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's actually a journey, right?
Yeah, it's been so long now that it just feels normal. But when it hits a milestone like that, it kind of reminds me to think about the journey and think about where I came from with that and stuff like that. So
awesome. How are you?
Very well, yeah. Very well.
Great. How's life going for you these days?
Yeah, good. Still getting established here in Copenhagen. Starting work very soon here, which is something that has taken a little while to get going, but, you know, it's the way it is. And, I've enjoyed the time with my daughter. She starts now at, as I was saying, she starts at childcare tomorrow. So, emotional times.
Nice. And are you happy?
Very, yeah. Yeah, it's a great question, actually. There's a book that I've recently read called Living Danishly, which is written by a British woman about 10 years ago. She lived on the other side of Denmark from us, near Billund. And she wrote about her experience in Denmark. And it's something that she kept quite consistent throughout the book whenever she was speaking with other people, like Danish people. Mm-hmm. She was trying to understand why Danish people were so happy. And she'd always ask them, why are you so happy?
Yeah.
And I always thought that was a really good question to ask, because I don't think I've ever really been asked that before, especially in the UK. But yeah, it's at least an 8 out of 10, if not a 9, which is pretty high.
Yeah.
You know.
And how's your mental health?
Yeah, good. I mean, it's the same thing, really. It's just I'm very lucky and privileged to have what I have, and you know, obviously, I've got a huge gratitude for my close friends, my family, and my wife. And you know, every day it's an absolute pleasure to be a dad. It wasn't on our plans to be parents, but it happened, and it's amazing. And mental health has taken a whole swing. I mean, it was fine before, but you know, you have to battle with tiredness and stuff like that now, which you didn't have to before. You know, before fatherhood. Constantly checking in with yourself and with your wife, and she's doing the same. And but there's a new motivation as a dad, you know, to be a better person, to do well in life for her, for my daughter, that is. And because of that, I think it kind of coincides with a healthy mental health, especially seeing how she's thriving as well, you know.
And where are you from, for the viewers who would not know?
I'm from Hertfordshire in England, just north of London.
Yeah. How far is that from the capital? It's
a 40-minute train ride.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How's life there? Is it a great place?
In Hertfordshire?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Hertfordshire is just a county. I actually lived in Hertford, the county town of Hertfordshire. It's a very beautiful town, very old.
Yeah.
Some really great people, really cool communities there. That's where I met my wife. I was actually living in Cambridge as well at one point, which people know Cambridge as a city. It's a very diverse, again, very beautiful city. It doesn't feel like a city when you're there, 'cause there's no tall buildings or anything. It's very, centralized around parks and stuff. So in the last couple of years, I've lived in some great places. which has probably helped for my own growth, you know.
And what inspired this movement with your family from Hertfordshire to Copenhagen?
Well, it's kind of twofold, really. I've always expressed an interest to live abroad again because I've previously lived abroad, and my wife has as well. We didn't know each other at the time.
Okay.
And she was content in England. I still had this niggling feeling for years since I came back, that I wanted to get back out again and explore and live in another place again. And an opportunity came up for her work where her company opened an office in central Copenhagen. And after a while, they offered her one of the positions there, and then she got it. And that's why we moved, essentially. So it was, but I think the fact that I expressed an interest and she knew that I wanted to live abroad, that she was like, well, this is a pretty cool place to come and live. So, you know, compromise. And yeah, so because of her, we're here. So again, another reason to be so very grateful for her. And yeah.
And I also saw on your Instagram, you've been traveling around for a while. You've been to Morocco and all of the other places. Yeah.
Way back.
I saw your pictures on Instagram.
Yeah, you had a deep dive.
Yeah. To go all the way down.
Yeah, I've lived in a few places. I was in Thailand in 2013 for 3.5 years. I've been in Czech Republic for a few months. I was in Turkey for a few months. I was in Mexico for 6 months, and now here. Yeah, so I've had a good time.
And how do you find life here in Copenhagen?
Another great question. 5 weeks in. We mentioned before we started recording that it's it's a fantastic place to be. It's just, I guess, at the time of the year and maybe the general mentality here, it's not easy to make friends here or to get into like groups or communities. So I guess maybe I'm missing a slight human connection thing here, but otherwise we've had a great time since we've been here. It's very expensive. That was a bit of a shock, even though we knew it was going to be more expensive. I didn't realize how much it was going to be. So yeah, I mean, at the moment we live in a really cool place, just in the south of the city. We've explored quite a bit, and we live right near the nature park, so it doesn't feel like we live in a city. So I mean, I was out this morning, and it's foggy and cold and that, but it's a nature park, man. It's like, it's pretty nice there. It's pretty cool there. So, you know, again, another reason to express gratitude.
Beautiful. How old are you, man?
I'm 36.
36? Alright, cool. And you just had your baby girl?
Yeah.
Congrats on that again.
Yeah, cheers. She's 10 months tomorrow.
She doing good?
She's, smiling her way through life.
Yeah.
Couple of teeth now.
Do you gotta do like the night shifts swapping with your wife? Sometimes she does in the nights and you do.
We're pretty lucky. Like, she sleeps through the night most of the time.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. She hasn't always, but yeah, we used to do that switch. But she's great, man. She's just a bundle of joy.
How's fatherhood like?
Again, it's twofold. There's like, you know, the absolute joy of having created someone so cool like her.
Yeah.
She's made me learn things about myself, and my partner can probably say the same. You find you remember stuff from when you were a kid that you maybe haven't thought about or never thought about before, until these memories come flooding back, because you're at the same time as learning to be a parent, there's also an element of like reparenting, which is where you realize maybe that, especially my dad, who I don't have a connection with at all, you know, how I can be a good father to her, and like how to act and react in certain times, you know, like she loves to just throw food everywhere now, and it's, you know, at first she like frustration and reactive, you know, but it's like holding back and being like, laugh about it with her, and, you know, not make her feel like worried or scared that she's upset us or anything like that. You know, it's like a whole other thing. You know, we're trying to learn how to be as people, and obviously it's how to be as parents to her. You know, no one can teach you this stuff. It's just so
that's one thing we don't get taught in school, right?
No, I mean, how can you though, right? You know, if someone tried to teach me even 2 years ago how to be a dad, I'd be like, I don't care. Like, I'm not going to be a dad or whatever, you know, like,
She's 10 months healthy and fine. So you guys are already doing an amazing job.
I know, right? Keeping her alive for 10 months.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I'm the oldest of 4.
Yeah.
My sister, they all live in the UK. My sister's got 2 of her own. She's 2 years younger than me. And I've got 2 younger brothers, 10 and 11 years younger than me.
How close are you with your family?
Yeah, pretty close. Considering I lived abroad and moved back countless times. Over the last, specifically the last like 3 or 4 years, I think we've got a lot closer as a family.
Okay.
We lost our nan a few months back. So that brought us together again and, you know, to celebrate her legacy and then obviously our mine and my wife's marriage and our kid and my sister's kids and my brother going through one of my brothers going through university and moving and doing all good stuff with his life. So it's good that we check in with each other often and yeah, we have a strong relationship, I'd say now, more than ever.
All right, mate. So it's inspiration time, right? And we'd love to know the full story, you know, so we can understand you better, connect and like maybe relate to you as a person.
Okay.
All right. Could you maybe like tell us about your childhood, how you grew up and the things you had to overcome to be where you are right now? Like, because we know...
In a nutshell.
Yeah, in a nutshell, because we know like you got so much discipline, right?
You mentioned the word discipline there.
Yeah.
That's certainly nothing. That's not something I grew up with necessarily as a kid. I was very like rebellious. My dad was a disciplinarian, and that wasn't the way to like father me or teach me. I wasn't that person. I was like a bit more carefree than that. I struggled, I guess, as a kid, like what we would now say as mental health. It wasn't something that was, it wasn't like a thing that was said back then. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 13, which was a very strange thing to experience because no one else had mentioned ADHD before. It wasn't something that was prevalent in the schools as it is now.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like the first one, possibly, it was definitely in my class, maybe even like in my year and I'd possibly even that school. I don't know if it was that to that extent, but I used that as like a justification to carry on basically being a dickhead for a little while longer. I was very lucky with some relationships I had. Like I had a girlfriend from 13 to 18. She kept me in check. She helped me grow up. She kept me out of trouble. Going through uni, you know, I got lazy and that's when drinking really started and toxic behavior because of that. And that carried through to my 20s. It was only when I was in my 30s that I went sober, started looking within a little bit more and stopped blaming other people for my problems, you know. I read a book, actually. It was called Mindset. It's by someone called Carol Dweck. And I remember reading it when I was 30. And it was the difference between growth mindset and fixed mindset. And I definitely had a fixed mindset in many ways. What I mean by that is it's like I was playing the victim in certain situations like, oh, this isn't happening for me because of this person or because I've not been given this opportunity or whatever, you know, like never really checking my privilege or anything, just blaming people and things for positive things happening in my life, not happening to me, you know, things I wanted. But reading that book really helped open my mind to the opposite, the growth mindset, which was start the day, start acting positively towards people, towards yourself, create new habits that can see you through the day and keep a smile on your face, and you go to bed and you've achieved things that day and repeat.
Yeah.
And when you get into that habit, then you will start to reap the benefits, the changes that come your way. So I just remember like going through that in a short space of time in my early 30s. And I think that was a massive change and probably one reason why I went sober, and in general, just mindset shifts. It helped me grow my business. It's helped me, you know, meet people like my wife, who's a phenomenal person.
When you look back at it, what would you say led to this alcohol problem?
Just want to start by saying that an alcohol problem can be subjective. So
in your own case,
for me, like it wasn't a case of going out every day and getting drunk or, you know, drinking in the morning to the evening sort of thing. It was just not knowing when to stop when I did start. So that could be 3 times a week, you know, once during the week, maybe on a Wednesday, and then maybe a Friday and a Saturday, or Friday and a Sunday, whatever. just not knowing that stop button, and then getting myself into some sort of trouble, or, you know, waking up somewhere I didn't want to wake up, or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that's my alcoholism. It's very different from other people's.
Yeah.
And that's always, I think that started really when I was about 16, and I'd actually moved out of my mum and dad were together at the time. When I was 16, I moved in with my grandparents, and I guess just in that time, it was very unhappy for me and everything. A lot of people go through that, right? But my go-to was alcoholism. I guess it gave me like a false sense of confidence and happiness, and you know, I could let loose and forget my troubles and all that stuff. Of course, that's not true. It's a facade. To tell a 16-year-old that is not going to work, you know.
Yeah.
For someone, if someone would have turned around to me and said, "Alcohol's not the way, man. Like you could do this instead," I would have been like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to happen. Like, that's not the answer. You know, I'm enjoying myself. And then that just carried on. That was just something that I stuck to doing, like, you know, that immaturity or that lack of self-worth and self-esteem to make those changes, you know.
And what was your dad or your mom saying during this time when they saw you being so drunk?
They didn't see it too much. I mean, my dad used to use he used to use it again. He was an emotionally abusive person, like, to everyone, all my brothers, my sister, my mum. But for me, that was his like go-to, you know. He would like look down on me in that way. But yeah, I mean, I definitely upset my mum a few times and made her worry, you know. And then my nan and my granddad, when I lived with them as well, like, that was an experience, I'm sure, for them, a 16 to 18-year-old before I went to uni, coming home stinking of cigarettes and drink a couple of nights a week. Yeah.
And what were some of the side effects that you experienced during this time? Like some very detrimental side effects to your future or your health or something? Yeah,
I mean, definitely mental health, like not understanding that I was in control of my own self-esteem, self-worth by just having a mind shift or something like that. But definitely the relationships I got myself into, whether that was with a girl or just like friends that were equally in their own pain, just I wouldn't have those relationships now. I'd be far from those sort of relationships now, you know, and they would be toxic, or maybe the relationship, like with a girl, would be maybe based around drinking, or that particular mate as well. And then you're competing with them, you're egging each other on to get more drunk, all that stuff, you know. It's an endless cycle of, and of course that's not sustainable, right? You can't maintain those sort of relationships, you know, because they are toxic and they are based on a substance that's harming you and harming your head. And
so you said this alcohol problem started at 16? Right?
Yeah, like, I mean, that's when I started like properly drinking. Yeah.
And it carried on up till what day?
Like the 1st of January 2020 was my first day of sobriety. So I guess New Year's Eve 2019.
So after 15 years, you finally decide, like, okay, now I'm an adult, I'm 31. You were about 31, right?
Yeah.
And you got to turn your life around. Yeah. But before that, you were already reading like the book you mentioned, which was already like helping you shift your mindset. Towards the right direction. And then fitness came in too.
Yeah, fitness came in, and listening to certain like podcasts. I mentioned Rich Roller last week. He's sober and he's vegan, and he's very much into fitness. So just like having positive role models to understand that I can make these changes, and look what he's achieved. You know. So there's plenty of people in this space that have followed a similar journey in that way. You know, they've found veganism, or they found sobriety, or they found fitness, and between the three, they've intertwined in some way, and you know, they've got to the other side of like a dark period, for instance.
So moving on to fitness, which was one of your successful decisions which you made in your 30s, right? How long have you been working out, and when did you start actually?
Oh mate, I've been like starting for a lot of my life. You know, as a kid, I was very good at athletics. I was winning medals at quite a decent level when I was when I was like 13. I got into the gym at 16, as most 16-year-olds do, and just did chest and triceps, or chest and biceps rather. like 5 times a week, you know. But no, I came out of uni. I did sports science at uni. I came out of uni and was a PT for a little while and thought I knew stuff, but didn't. No life experience, no really PT experience, no people experience, no understanding of alternatives or science behind certain things. When I came away from that, because I went into other industries for quite a while, then I started picking things up. So like from a nutritional side of things, I was a vegetarian for 3 years because I learned how to eat as a vegetarian. I learned about new foods, new ways of cooking. I learned about plant-based protein and how to obtain that. And then into my 30s, before then, I went vegan. You have to learn even more. And during that time, I realized that I can also be fit and strong as well as vegan.
Yeah.
You know, that misconception or misunderstanding of that lifestyle.
And which muscle groups stand out the most on your...
Which muscle groups?
Yeah. When you look at your body.
I'll say I'm naturally got strong legs.
Yeah. Okay.
So I've had compliments like that before, I guess. So yeah.
What's your favorite muscle group to train?
That's a loaded question, man. I'm not really like I'm doing street work at the moment, and I'm breaking it down into splits. But I still really love doing Olympic lifts, which is various muscle groups depending on the lift. So
how long have you been a fitness coach?
So before and now again for just over a year.
What inspired you to become a fitness coach?
I had my own vegan food business for 6 years. And during that time, I wanted to get back into fitness industry. But when you're wrapped up in your own business, in my case, in hospitality, you don't see an end necessarily. So it's more of a dream for ages. So I was redoing my qualifications and privately training people. But it wasn't until I closed my business and then had a little bit of time off and then made the shift over.
Which aspect of fitness does your coaching focus on? What's your specialty?
More recently, it's been strength-based workouts. So whether that's powerlifting or Olympic lifting, that's been my main focus recently. Yeah. But I do have, or I've had in the past, like fitness classes that are more high-intense workouts. Yeah. So it may combine some weights, but maybe some body weight as well. Covering of ground, so it's quite mixed, but my favorite is definitely to help you put on muscle mass.
And could you maybe give us a definition of strength and conditioning for those who don't have any idea?
It doesn't matter how much experience you have. If you want to redefine yourself as in physically, then there are many ways in which you can change your physique, whether that's through heavy lifting or hypertrophy work, or just bringing it back to the absolute basics and understanding that mobility is a very important part in being able to move your body. So conditioning yourself to be able to deal with lifting weights or running fast, or being able to do functional movements in general.
What kind of services do you provide?
Well, that is currently a transitional thing. I'm going to be starting at a Sats gym as a PT in Hertfordshire. I'm also in touch with one CrossFit gym and one Hyrox gym to do some classes with them. That's going to be maybe more skill based. Yeah. So the breaking like an Olympic lift or a functional movement within Hyrox or CrossFit right down to the bare bones, so that person can do that movement without the risk of injury and efficiently. So working on what joints need to be opened up a bit more from a mobility sense, and going from there, working on the skill aspect of it as well.
So if I were to become your client today, what are some steps you're going to take to ensure that we achieve success?
Well, it's always worth noting what your journey is. Okay. To start with, how much experience you have. Yeah. Have you worked with a coach before? What was the outcome? What do you want to achieve over a 4, 8, 12, 16-week period? What do you want to achieve over a 1-year period, 2-year period? Why are you even here? What is your reason for being here? Once those are established, then I can know how to sculpt a program around you, not just a fitness program, but also to see how potentially any habits that may hinder your progress can be adjusted. That could be sleeping, that could be diet, that could be anything related to mental health, so that you've got a clear path to your goal, whatever your goals may be.
And for those who would like to join your field of expertise, could you maybe give them like a detailed step-by-step process of what you need to start the business of a strength and conditioning coach? For example, in your case, you want to start at the Sats gym, right? So what are the processes involved in joining a Sats gym as a coach?
You've got to work out why you want to do this. Yeah, you can make money in this industry, but you won't hear me ever mentioning that side of it. Of course, money is important, but that's not my main motivation. I don't want to sit on a beach in Dubai. I want to be on the gym floor with you, making sure that you are hitting your goals, you know? Do you have the same mentality? So that's first and foremost. Of course, you need the qualifications. It's different here. So I've already done my qualifications and I've redone them as well to make sure that I'm in tune with the modernized form of the industry.
So what are some of these qualifications?
So in the UK, here they have level 1, 2, 3, 4. In the UK, it's similar. The level 2 and 3, I think here are personal trainer, various forms. In the UK, level 3 is personal trainer. Level 4 is going into more specifics. So mine is strength and conditioning. So I guess it depends on who is your ideal client.
Yeah.
So for me, my ideal client right now, and who I've started training already, are dads.
Okay.
Mid-30s to mid-40s, if I had to really be specific, by the way, who are open-minded enough to make change to diet if that's their prerogative.
Yeah.
And who may or may not have any experience with the gym, but are open to being making a lot of changes from what they've done before, potentially.
Okay.
Yeah. So open-mindedness, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being ready to learn.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the biggest problems, right? People are not always ready to learn, or maybe ready to change or learn what they've already learned, especially when it's the wrong things. Right?
Yeah, and in this industry, there is so much confusion. There's a lot of information out there, and some of it, a lot of it, really, on social media especially, is those people who are just trying to like monetize an idea, or they've got like an angle that they say is this is the only way that you can go in order to achieve this. And if someone's saying that, then you know that's false, and you know that you should not follow that person, or maybe just follow them, but out of interest, but don't take it too seriously, you know.
What is the best advice you can give to anyone who is beginning with fitness today?
Again, it will come back to, why do you want to do it? What is your reason? What is your sole reason for wanting to go to the gym? Are you doing it because you've been pressured into it, or do you do it because you've had a mindset shift and you feel like, I need to do something to change where I'm at? So that would be the first question you ask yourself.
So that would be the advice you give to them.
Yeah. If you're like,
ask yourself why you're doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Because if you ask yourself that question and then you come up with the answer, say, because I want to get fit, or because I want to change my physique, or, you know, I want to feel better within myself, one of those sort of answers, the follow-up question to that is, can you commit? Can you be consistent? Because especially in the fitness industry, if you work in gyms, you see an influx of new customers coming through the door in January.
True.
And then you see a decline by mid-January.
Yeah. Like right now, they're
So
already going out.
are those people just being reactive because they've had a heavy Christmas, a New Year, or are they serious and something else has knocked them, you know, their confidence? But yeah, ultimately, why are you there, and can you be consistent, I guess, are the two questions I'd ask.
Okay, amazing. What's your biggest regret when it comes to fitness?
Yeah, I don't know. Regret's quite a hard word, because, you know, everyone's on their own journey. I wish I'd learned more stuff at university, for instance. You know, like I wish I'd put more effort in.
Yeah.
When I was younger, you know, to learn the sort of the science behind the anatomy and the way we move, and because, you know, learning it later on in life means I'm behind. So I guess just maybe taking it more seriously when I was younger. But it's not a regret. It's just, you know, I wasn't in that place to really care too much about anything at that time, you know.
Let's say if you had the opportunity to make a long-lasting change to the world of fitness, what would you contribute and why?
Well, if I was to make a long-lasting change to the world of fitness,
yeah, what would you contribute and why?
For me, as a vegan, and I'm not just a vegan for my health. I'm a vegan for animals.
Mhm.
And I guess just having an understanding of when you put something into your body, like you may feel a bit naff afterwards because you've eaten a certain food or whatever. But if there's more information out there, or more information in gyms that people can look at and say, oh, I've learned that I can get protein from a plant-based diet, or I can get all the nutrients I need, or I get a full amino acid profile from eating this food with this food. I guess just having more accessibility to knowledge within the gym space, like physically, as in if you're going to a gym, whether that's like an educational room or something, I don't know, or having more people with like nutritional knowledge within a gym or something. I think that would be really cool to see more in the industry.
Mhm.
So maybe not like a whole change in the industry, but it's maybe on a gym level, on the surface level, just to have more accessibility to the right information for people to do better and be better, and well, you know, if you're looking at financially, then for those people to also stay longer in that gym, you know.
So you think at the moment there's not enough information at the gyms, or the people don't, or is it the problem that they don't want to research this information or ask for the information?
If I think about the way a gym is laid out, it's solely just to build physique, or, you know, to get fitter or whatever, right? Nutrition and fitness should really go hand in hand. In a gym, I see vending machines with high sugar energy bars, you know,
Yeah,
and caffeinated drinks.
yeah.
And I see kids buying those caffeinated drinks at 6 p.m., you know, and there's no care in the world for those kids or people in general, picking those things out of the vending machine, thinking they're fueling their workout, or it's, you know, starting their recovery process from their workout.
Mm-hmm.
It's just there to make money. There's no understanding of what that food or what that drink can do for you. Long term, short term, doesn't matter. But if there was more knowledge about why you should have this then, or why you shouldn't have this then, of course, you know, I'm living in dream world thinking that companies like that are going to take responsibility.
Yeah.
Because, you know, at the end of the day, if they're selling, they're selling. But I think maybe the gym could have more of an impact on someone's life if they were to have, like, it could be in any form. If you're looking, like, if you have like a timeline on the wall,
Yeah.
this period of time is a good time to have a caffeinated drink.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or leave it, or have a caffeinated drink like 45 minutes before you work out, you know, rather than straight before you work out, because that caffeinated drink ain't going to kick in for another 45 minutes, you know, that sort of thing. I don't know. There's so many different avenues you can go with it, but I just think from a nutritional standpoint in a gym, lack of knowledge, I absolutely think that there could be a totally different outlook and different way of doing it.
And I think some of this wrong behavior also comes from influencers, right? And and the people on the internet we see every day.
Mm.
You know, at some point, it's usually not the younger people's faults. It's just that they probably have like the wrong knowledge, like you're saying.
Absolutely. I don't think that it's the people's who go to the gyms fault for doing anything like that. It's just marketing and stuff, you know, sales.
Yeah. So what is one of the biggest mistakes you see beginners do in the gym as a coach?
If you're talking about like a weight-based exercise, strength-based exercise, I would say the second half or the extension part of a rep, whether that be a squat or whether that be a cable row or a bicep curl. I think that a lot of people rush through their reps thinking if they just get those 12 out, you know, they can feel the pain or whatever, but they're missing out on so much opportunity to build hypertrophy in those working muscles. Like, slow it down, man. Like, if it's just as a bicep curl, right?
Yeah.
Just doing that slower rather than letting it drop.
Yeah.
Means you're gaining so much just from adding just that little change to that particular exercise. I see it all over. Yeah.
Nice. Guys, you guys are getting it from a coach as well. It's not from me. Okay. And what do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions people have about fitness?
That you can look for quick fixes and they will stick with you forever.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm going to drop
I
this
always
amount of
think-
weight or whatever.
yeah.
And, you know, it's a 4-week plan. Let's be honest. It's not going to help you later, you know?
True. I always think of that too.
Yeah.
What's the best experience you've had since you became a coach?
I guess seeing people achieve what they set out to do, whether that's just learning a specific exercise or hitting a goal, just seeing their face when they
Achieve that goal.
achieve that goal.
What's the worst experience you've had to deal with?
Injuries.
Injuries?
Yeah. In my time
Yeah.
before I knew how to help prevent injuries.
We know there are millions of strength and conditioning coaches in this world, right? And everyone has their own special touch. How do you sell yourself, and what do you do to stand out?
If you diagnose the problem and you come up with a solution, then you're a good coach. So from the onset, me and you having a conversation, if you're going to potentially be my client, I find out exactly where you are at right now and diagnose how I can get you to where you want to be, rather than just blanket, oh yeah, you want to get in shape. Okay, let's do this. And this might not be the right thing for you. You know, learning from what experiences you've had in the past, whether that's good or bad. What a coach has taught you in the past that's maybe good or bad. You know, just talking to you, not just building a rapport, but understanding where you've come from and where you want to be and building that road.
All right, guys, we're moving on to the next part of the interview, which is health and nutrition. I know you've been a vegan for a long time.
Yep.
What inspired this transition from omnivore to vegan?
I did it in stages. I went So I had a girlfriend in Thailand. She was American. We had an argument over pizza. I had a chicken pizza. She had a margarita, something like that. And I was like, you can't get protein from plants. And she said, yes, you can. And lo and behold, over time, I realized that you can. Fast forward a year and a bit, I think. I took pride in, just looking back now, I took pride in going days without eating meat for her. Like, felt nice. And I like enjoyed it. And I learned so much about different foods and the colors on my plate and stuff like that. But fast forward, I moved I was living in Bangkok. I moved out of Bangkok into another town called Chantaburi, which is on the east side of Thailand, about 4 hours east from Bangkok. My first night in that house, I didn't realize I was very much within earshot of a pig slaughterhouse.
Okay.
They did their killing at night. And I saw all the trucks coming in with all the pigs, and I didn't know what that was, if it was a farm or whatever, but I didn't really know what a slaughterhouse was either. I did after that night, because you could hear all the squeals, you could hear all the horrible noises, and I still remember them now. And I vowed to myself that I wouldn't eat meat again because of that experience. So literally the next day I was vegetarian. I was vegetarian for 3 years, during which time I'd moved back to the UK. And it was because of a couple of videos on YouTube I saw from a couple of activists, animal rights activists, where they were talking about dairy and eggs and the journey of the animals through those processes. And I was like, man, I've got to go vegan. I hate the idea of what I'm buying into. And I eat more dairy now than I did before I was vegetarian, because vegetarians potentially could eat more dairy. Yeah, I had to just do it because it felt wrong to be eating those foods when I knew how those foods were made or where they came from. And yeah, I went vegan 26th of December 2017.
What are the key nutritional considerations for athletes who following a vegan diet to maintain optimal performance?
It always helps to start with, if you are not understanding the foods that you're eating, to track those foods on a food tracking app. So I used Chronometer at the time just to understand if I was getting my macros to start with, you know, things like eating like tofu and lentils and quinoa and foods like that are higher protein. Was I still getting enough protein? And then understanding how I can adapt that my diet so that I could get more protein if I needed it, or if I needed to add more calcium to my diet or whatever. So it really helped tracking the food and learning from that. And also that's when I got into like cooking anyway. I had my own food business, as I say, for 6 years.
Mhm.
And learning how to cook those foods really did help as well.
How do you ensure sufficient protein intake for muscle growth and recovery on a plant-based diet?
It's like second nature to me now, but if you're going for performance based, I would say even as an omnivore, like it's a good idea maybe to even have a protein powder and a creatine powder if that's what you want. That's only if you need to like hit like a higher goal.
Mm-hmm.
Like I aim for about 150 grams of protein a day myself,
Okay.
sometimes higher depending on the particular week or what I'm after. And I know that now I know with intuition that if I eat this weight of tofu or tempeh, or if I have this particular dish, that I know that I'm going to get this amount of protein. For instance, using protein as an example, right? As a complete amino acid profile, that's also something that comes second nature to me now. I know that if I, for instance, have an Asian dish with tofu, if I have soy sauce in there, I've got a complete amino acid profile. If I combine brown rice and peas, I've got a complete amino acid profile. All plant foods have all the essential amino acids.
Okay.
It's just varying levels of. So there's no such thing really as an incomplete protein.
Okay.
It's just knowing how to combine certain foods together or to have more of one food than another in order to get to those goals.
What common mistakes do people make when transitioning to a vegan lifestyle,
Not-
particularly for fitness goals?
Not eating enough.
Not eating enough.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Calorie intake is the first thing to look at. I should have said that before, really. I remember when I went vegan over 4 weeks, I think I lost 4 kilos.
Okay.
But that was probably just because I was eating excess dairy. So that was going to be a natural drop in weight anyway. I'm actually heavier now than I was then. But, you know, I've been vegan 7 years, so I know how to. But, yeah, calories first and foremost. The amount of failed stories I hear online of, like, you know, social media influencers saying, when I was vegan, it didn't work for me because blah, blah, blah. And most of them come down to that person did not consistently eat enough.
Sure.
Maybe they were missing out on a particular micronutrient, but the main reason really is they weren't hitting them goals at all.
Can you share some examples of your go-to pre or post-workout meals for snacks?
Yeah, it depends on the time of the day, I think. Recently, I've actually been playing with going to the gym fasted and seeing my performance actually being pretty good. This morning, I was up early because I went for a run around the nature park where I live, and I actually had I was hungry, so I just followed what my body was telling me. I had a wholemeal tortilla, put a banana in it, a tablespoon of peanut butter, wrapped it up, ate it, fuel done for the run. It was a 10K run. I didn't even need that probably, but I just felt like I was hungry, so I went for it. If it was later on in the day, then I would have fueled myself with a decent breakfast. So it would have been like an oatmeal with, like this morning actually. So when I came back, my wife had made a quinoa and oatmeal. So it had soy milk in it, had berries in it, and like cinnamon and things like that. So it was nice. So that would have been a really good, sufficient pre-workout meal if I was to then work out. Scrambled tofu on toast, peanut butter on toast. I actually really like using peanut powder.
Okay.
It's a very high protein, very low fat, and a little bit of carbohydrates mixed in with a smoothie. I love the taste of peanuts as well, so that's like a good go-to for me. Okay. Post-workout, I would say, again, that could be anything. I don't believe in you having to rush a high protein meal down straight away, unless you really are hungry, right? But I don't generally feel that hungry after I've worked out.
So we know the body does not readily absorb certain nutrients from plant-based foods, like iron, for example. How do you address nutrient deficiencies like B12, iron, omega-3s in a vegan diet?
There's loads of little tricks within the plant-based kingdom.
Okay.
So, like again, today having again, you have to break it down. So, like iron, for instance, you can obtain iron from meat. It's heme iron from meat, and it's more bioavailable for the body to have heme iron, but it also carries with it a lot of other stuff that's not good for the body. Then you've got non-heme iron, which you can obtain from plants.
Yeah.
And you can optimize that non-heme iron bioavailability and absorption in the body by combining it with vitamin C. Say, for instance, you had an iron source like quinoa and you had lemon juice within the same dish, then the iron from the quinoa will absorb better in your body. So there's loads, that's what I'm saying. There's loads of little like nature's tricks already in play.
So
Again,
don't you need like extra supplements?
I think it depends what it is. B12, if you want to mention that one. There are just as many, if not more, people that are B12 deficient that are omnivores than vegans. There's plenty of studies out there at the moment, more recent studies out there at the moment that suggest that as well.
Yeah.
So what I would suggest is, if you're not sure, then get a B12 supplement. I take a multivitamin that has a B12 within that, for
Okay.
instance, because
You recommend beginners of people who are starting out with a vegan transformation that they should go for some supplements as well in the beginning if they don't know their micronutrients, if they don't know what they're eating.
I would recommend that everyone gets a multivitamin,
Mm.
one that contains B complex, so that being B2, 6, 9, 12. But yeah, vegans just as the same as omnivores.
Yeah. And have you done any like blood work since you became vegan?
Yeah.
To find out if you're stable or
Yeah, so I was using a private company in the UK. It used to be like relatively affordable. Now it's very expensive, so I only do it once a year.
Yeah.
And in fact, my recent blood work is on my Instagram page, one of the thumbnails, one of the highlights rather. My omega-3 was a little bit out of whack. My family also have omega-3 issues, so I don't know, but I think there may be an issue with, like my brother, he's actually a heavy meat eater.
Yeah.
And he has an omega-3 issue. So is there something there that's hereditary? Possibly. The way around that, I also do take an omega-3 supplement that is vegan. So omega-3 you can get from oily fish,
Okay.
which is why you get the
that one I know
fish
about.
oil tablets.
Yeah.
Those fish get it from down the food chain from algae.
Yeah.
So a vegetarian fish, like a tilapia or something smaller, like a shrimp, they obtain omega-3 through, let's just call it that for now, through the consumption of algae. The meat-eating fish or the fish-eating fish obtain omega-3 through eating those particular fish.
Mm-hmm.
So they get that transfer. And then humans will then get their omega-3 from eating further up the food chain.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, you can literally cut out all the middleman or
And go
fish,
to the
middle
algae?
fish,
Yeah.
and just have the algae-based
Okay.
omega-3 tablets. And they're readily available. They're easy to get.
How does someone become vegan if they don't have like enough finances to buy healthy, nutritious condiments? Because we know for some of us who regularly go to the supermarkets, like those of us who train a lot, the plant-based packages are usually very small, and it's very costly. So how do you go about this problem of finances?
It's a very good question. It depends where you are in the world as well.
Yeah.
You can get decent whole foods, high protein food, and it is the cheapest food. You can buy beans and rice, and those foods tend to be the cheapest foods.
Yeah.
Lentils, decent amount of protein. In this country, in Denmark, it's for some reason it's still expensive to buy like tofu. And I've actually used an Asian supermarket recently to get tofu, and I get big old blocks like this, and it works out cheaper than the UK now.
Yeah.
And the UK is pretty good for plant-based proteins.
Yeah.
I didn't have any problem with that in the UK. It was cheaper to be vegan than it was to be a meat eater, I would say. So there are ways around it. It's maybe not as convenient, and that's the problem, which obviously leads into people's time and effort. But, you can get these things if you wanted to. You can get them sent to your house. You can make an order online and buy, like tofu or tempeh or seitan, which is, we haven't mentioned that yet, another high protein plant-based source, or TVP, which is, I haven't even mentioned that. That's like my favorite protein source. Just, have to put the money in at first, I think. But then
that's what people don't have.
Yeah. And if, again, it comes down to like a motivation, like it's different country to country, man. Like I've found it harder to be vegan here than I have much harder here than the UK.
Yeah.
But there seems to be a lot more tolerance, and also there seems to be a lot more like of a potential for a plant-based movement here. It seems to be more prevalent in the news here than it was before. And there seems to be more plant-based options in those supermarkets than there were before.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully the price will come down as people start buying those alternatives. I'm not suggesting like, buying like chicken like alternatives and stuff like that. Obviously everything within moderation. I still like to enjoy, like, we have like a burger night. Me and my wife, we do a burger night every Friday, for instance. And those burgers are pretty high in protein. They're obviously ultra processed and all that stuff. We're not too fussed about that because we do it once a week. And yeah, they're a little bit costly, but we're allowing ourselves to do that once a week.
How do you adapt strength and conditioning programs for individuals who might struggle with energy levels or recovery on a plant-based diet?
I'd say everyone's different in the way they work out with their energy levels. So it's like a process, like anything, I guess. I can't really foresee that unless I've seen you in action.
Okay. Yeah, it's understandable.
Mm.
If someone decided to become vegan today, what major steps do they need to take to ensure success and longevity? Do they also need like extensive food research like you did in the beginning?
Yeah, again, there's many different angles to go vegan. The first one is, what is your motivation for going vegan? Whether that's animals, whether that's your health, whether that's your family's health, whether that's, in this country, a lot of people are vegan because of environmental reasons. If you determine what your motivation is for sticking to that, then that's your first hurdle. It's kind of, what's the word? Inevitable.
Yeah.
That if you stay vegan, you're going to continue to learn. I'm still learning now about the ways in which we do stuff to animals in different industries, or, there's always investigations into farms or slaughterhouses that showcase awful things, or there's always updated science and studies that suggest that plant-based foods are healthy or just as healthy or more healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But the question is, what if they're a beginner, right? And you were to give them like a tip? For example, me, I want to become vegan today, and you were to give me like an advice for success and longevity. What are those beginner steps you're going to tell someone to?
So yeah, based on your motivation, keep researching on that thing. So if you're angry about the way that animals are treated, keep learning about it. It's not a nice process, but that will keep you motivated and consistent with continuing the lifestyle.
Okay.
If you're talking about diet, are you talking about diet, or are you talking about right?
Vegan, being vegan.
Yeah. So vegan. So just to clarify, veganism isn't just diet. There's many aspects to veganism.
Yeah, food. We're talking about food.
Yeah, sure.
Fitness and health.
You see, I'm just saying, you see my confusion.
Yeah.
So what I mean is like, just wanted to clarify that from a food perspective. I think I've already mentioned about the tracking of food. Like, if you're unsure, or if you have a lack of knowledge about food in general, then absolutely track everything you eat just for a couple of days. Some people don't do very well with that. That's what I'm saying. Just do it for a couple of days. Always seek help. There's plenty of people online. There's, like, in this country, there's a vegan society. We have one in England as well, who are very helpful and have loads of information about where you can get certain nutrients and stuff like that. There's all of the information is out there. It's just about going to those and finding out what you need to find out. So if you were to start veganism today, what would be your main worries, I guess?
Probably protein,
Yeah.
carbs, because proteins, carbs, I'm not worried about veggies because it's already vegan, but proteins and carbs, because I'm someone who burns a lot of energy.
Yeah, sure. So there would already be an information pack on the Vegan Society. I think they're called Vegansk. I can't remember. Yeah. But they will already have an information pack online that would tell you what to look out for, or, according to what your goals are, what to aim for in terms of the amount of food you need.
Okay.
Stuff like that. But then there are people like myself, of course, that are accessible and DMs are open, sort of thing, even if you weren't to become a client of mine, my motivation is to improve the outlook of veganism for everyone, because it's important that going forward, the world adopts that lifestyle, not just food, but the lifestyle. I would always put time in give you the time of day if you were to ask me questions about something like that. So hit me up.
You guys should do that. All right. What are some benefits? What are some of the benefits or best experiences you've had since you started this lifestyle?
I guess going on a journey, learning to cook and becoming a chef, and then growing a business from that, and it being a pretty successful business for a few years. Yeah. I would never have cared much, or I don't think I would have done, but being able to put my creativity into and spark into something like cooking and learning about, you know, how to increase the protein in this or how to get this flavor profile or whatever. I think that's probably like one of the main ones. One of the another one would be the community aspect. Mm-hmm. There are very good communities within the vegan movement.
Yeah.
So I've met some very cool people who I'd call lifelong friends now, who have been mentors for me, or I can be of service to them.
Going back to your food business, you did own a food business which you stopped, you said, in 2023. What was the business specifically about?
It was a vegan food business. I started it off in 2018. I started it in markets in the UK. So I started at Saffron Walden Market, which is quite a prevalent, prevalent, that's not the right word, it was a very nice town in Essex. And I sold vegan food. I was trying to do gluten-free and whole foods based as well. Mm-hmm. And I was doing burgers and sides. Those combinations was hard. Getting decent gluten-free bread was hard enough.
Yeah.
Being up all night making the various patties and making mac and cheese and stuff like that for the next day was also very hard. Standing out in the rain was very hard.
To sell it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tough process.
Yeah. So I gained a lot from that experience, but because of that and sticking to it and being consistent with that gave me the opportunity to move into a cafe as a collaborative cafe with a vegan donut business.
Yeah.
And because of that, because of the donut aspect, I actually changed the way that I changed the branding quite significantly. I actually went a little bit more unhealthy. I started selling like chips, for instance, and using more like meat alternatives because people were wanting that over the Whole Foods burgers. Yeah. And I had like colorful buns. So I haven't seen any here, but like pink buns or blue buns or green buns.
Wow.
So the dough would just have like not a food coloring, but like the pink buns would have like beetroot powder in them, for instance, to get that color. It was just an ongoing process. I ended up having a pub from that, a takeaway business, a catering business, doing weddings, 2 other places as well. Yeah, it was mad. Like
amazing. Yeah. What inspired this whole business chain you had?
I love that question. It was my own form of activism.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was having conversations a lot about veganism in general with friends or family or people on the street, whatever. It always came back, and it's happened again. It always came back to food because the understanding what veganism was based around a different kind of food, and not other things like animal testing and clothes and stuff like that. So I was reactive in that way, or proactive maybe, and just thought, well, I've had this. I'd lived in Mexico. I learned to cook in Mexico. I was helping a friend over there with her food business, so I learned a lot. Came back to the UK and thought, that's my activism. That's something I can do to help people's understanding of there is another way. And that was to create a food business, and had a lot of fun. Worked every day of my life. I had a couple of breakdowns.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The cooking can be, the food industry can be really tough. Very long hours, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Preparation, cooking, selling.
Learning how to be an electrician, learning how to pay tax, learning how to be a manager or an employer. Yeah. You know, yeah, man, I did it all.
9 years you were doing everything by yourself.
Oh, it was like, I can look back now and be like, I'm so proud of myself, and I'm so glad that I had those experiences but at the time, I just think back and be like, oh my God. Wow. Like, it was just every day, it was just like first thought, business,
And why did you stop anyways? If we were to
when or why, sorry.
Why did you stop?
It ground me down. It ground me down, and costs were going up. Okay. And they were going up significantly high. We had issues in the UK with energy costs. That alone was enough for me to be like, well, I can then up my hours even more, get rid of staff, and put my costs up going out to customers, or I can just cut this all together because is it really going to go down? Are the energy costs going to go down? Are minimum wage going to go down? No. So I just saw that it was just going to continue to be a struggle, and I was already struggling like at the time with a work-life balance and all that, you know.
Yeah.
So I just thought I've had enough.
So it was like either you like increase your prices or you close the business.
Yeah, I mean, inflation went up
Yeah.
like 20%, I think,
Yeah.
at one point, and it was like, can I really
Exactly.
put my prices up by 20% right now
Yeah.
when people are going through like
Yeah.
cost of living crisis? Like, and you know, I've seen lots of businesses closing for the same reason. So, you know, I kind of feel like I justified that decision, you know. So,
let's see.
but yeah, like if you go on it's on Instagram now. I sometimes have a look back and see all the reels we created as a team, and the posts that were going out, and I'm super proud of what I achieved there, and the food that went out, you know.
Great, man. It's good you had the experience, you know.
Mm.
It's always better than doing nothing.
It's definitely better than doing nothing.
I'm
Yeah,
telling you, man.
yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah.
there are a lot of people watching the interview right now. What is a message of inspiration you like to share for anyone who's watching?
Mine would be like your 20s are for having a laugh and figuring out yourself, and your 30s are for taking it a little bit more seriously. But that just comes naturally. So there is so much pressure from all angles for people to be like, I must do this by then. I must achieve this by then. You know, loosen up a little bit. The deadlines are in your head. Like, you have time to achieve stuff. What you're doing right now may not be your calling. It may not be what you want to do with your life. You can seek a way out of that, or you can just let it be and just take its natural course. Like, as I say, like, things happen for a reason. It's not all about the day you're in right now. It's, you know, anything can happen at any time. Your life can go off on a different tangent. And that's good. That's not a bad thing, you know.
Amazing.
As long as you just stay like consistent with yourself, you know, check in with yourself, look after yourself, the people around you. That's like the key to happiness, I think.
All right, guys. We are at the point of our show where we have our game. We have a game called Know Me Uncomfortably Well. Maybe if you watch the previous shows, you're gonna see the last part of the show. We always have a little short game where we have a few questions. You have 30 seconds to answer each question.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's get it, Matt. Question number 1. Name 3 of your favorite dishes.
A typical English roast dinner, veganized.
Okay.
And burger night with my wife.
Okay. Question number 2. Name 3 of your favorite music artists.
Slipknot. Muse.
Yeah.
Muse have been for my whole life, and Slipknot, I guess, as well. You know when your mind blanks? I've seen this with your other guests. Her mind blanked as well. Do you know what? I wrote this question down.
Yeah.
And I forgot what I wrote. Muse, Slipknot, and
All right,
come on.
you're giving us 2.
All right.
Okay, 30 seconds up. Next one. If you have the opportunity to collaborate with 3 people in any industry, who would they be?
I'd have to say, like, one would be Rich Roll in the men's health and wellness.
Okay.
One. A chef called Kirk Hayworth is a plant-based chef from the UK.
Okay.
And within the fitness industry, I mean, if I was to go right to the top, I'd go for either Mike Israetel, Dr. Mike Israetel, or Jeff Nippard.
All right. Why those 2 people?
They're very. I've learned a lot from them. They're very much science-based.
Science-based.
Yeah,
I knew that's why.
I really appreciate their content. They're phenomenal in the way they put their message out there.
Yeah. They're great people too.
Yeah.
I like their content. They break it down very well.
Yeah. I'm glad you know them. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So name 3 of your favorite songs.
There's a song by a heavy band called Paleface Swiss called Hatred.
Okay.
That's I'm loving that song at the moment. What's that song that goes, I will follow.
All right. That's a good one. That's the second one.
For some reason, that just came to my head. Love that song. And an old Muse song called Unintended.
Awesome. Next question. Name 3 of your favorite movies.
Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I watched Mrs. Doubtfire the other day for the first time. I thought it was absolutely class. I loved it.
Okay.
I'd never watched it before. Robin Williams, brilliant.
All right.
In fact,
Third
I
one?
think. Sorry, I was the third one as well.
Yeah.
Midsummer.
Midsummer.
Do you know what it is?
No.
It's a Swedish movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary as hell, and it's about like a cultish thing in the north of Sweden.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like
Horror.
kind of. Yeah, it's a bit more like psychological, but yeah, they this cult, they live to 72,
Okay.
and they have like they live 0 to 18 as kids. They live 18 to 36 as engineers and laborers and stuff. 36 to 54 as managers, etc. 54 to 72 as the elders,
Okay.
and then they die, as in they get killed.
I want to watch that one too.
Yeah, and a bunch of
Sounds
Americans
interesting.
discovered them, and well, they all died as well.
Midsummer.
Sorry to ruin that.
Next one. Name 3 of your favorite books.
Mindset, Carol Dweck. The Secret Life of Animals. I can't remember the author. I read that recently. That was really cool. I'm currently rereading a series by Simon Beckett about a forensic anthropologist called Dr. David Hunter. I've just read the first one again. There's 7. So I'd have to say the first one again of that, which was called The Chemistry of Death.
Next one. Name 3 of your favorite places you have not visited yet.
The rest of Denmark.
Okay.
The fjords of Norway.
Yeah.
And the islands of the Philippines.
All right. On a rest day, do you prefer to sleep on your side, your belly, or on your back?
Always my side.
Always on your side? All right.
Optimal position for sleep.
Yeah. Do you prefer to stay indoors and relax or go out and have fun?
My whole life I've said go out and have fun, but I guess nowadays probably more in and relax. But then again, we are in January in Denmark, so maybe my mind will be different in 6 months.
Probably. You know, when the sun comes out, the energy is up, the mood is vibrant.
Yeah, man.
You know, and you want to go out.
Yeah. And it's still sunny at 11 p.m.
Exactly. You don't feel like sleeping. You want to be active.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
true. It's true. What's the one thing you hate most?
The one thing I hate most is, I guess the genocidal tendencies of specific governments currently.
It's a big topic.
Yeah. We won't get into that. Yeah. Well, we can if you like, but
no. We're not finished. It's another podcast.
yeah.
Another podcast, guys.
Yeah.
Right. What's one thing you love most?
My wife and daughter. Can I include them as one?
As well.
Yeah.
Great. What's your ideal sex frequency?
4 times a week.
All right. What are 5 essential?
I don't know, 7?
7 times.
Yeah,
all right.
I feel like I haven't said enough. Yeah.
What are 5 essential things you can live without?
It's cliched, isn't it? It's just saying my daughter. But yeah, my daughter. You say 3?
Yeah. 5. Give us 5.
My electric toothbrush.
Okay, 2.
A barbell.
Okay, barbell. 3.
Damn. My spice cabinet.
A spice cabinet. Okay, 4.
Yeah. 4. Oh my God, I've got 2 more.
Yeah. You got one more.
One more.
Yeah.
That is tough.
If you were to get stuck on an island.
Yeah. Islands. My reusable bottle of water. What? I'm going to regret that answer.
Okay.
I'm going to come up with something great later.
But if you had to go with one style, what would it be? A, sports and active wear. B, urban and street wear. C, elegant and classic clothing.
Sporty, yeah.
Sports and active wear.
Yeah, man, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I love a pair of Gymshark trackies from other...
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who they're from.
Yeah.
If I'm not allowed to say the company.
So we're at the end of the show right now. Is there anything on your mind that you'd like to share before we're closing?
I've been here 2 weeks in a row and it's been a lot of fun and it's been very different from a normal Sunday evening, I'd say.
You're welcome.
And I'm glad to be here. Yeah, man. It's been good. I'm glad you've opened up the table for this sort of conversation and I hope it benefits people, your viewers. And I promise you I'm accessible. Like, you can get me on socials. I'll answer questions.
Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. It's been the Chit Chat Show. Please let us know in the comments what did you take away from the show, all right? Thank you so much for watching. It's been Matt Pryor on the Chit Chat Show.